A reading from the second book of the Kings. This is what happened when the Lord took Elijah up to heaven in the whirlwind. Elijah and Elisha set out from Gilgal. Elijah said, "Elisha, please stay here. The Lord is only sending me to the Jordan." But he replied, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." And they went on together. 50 of the brotherhood of prophets followed them, halting some distance away as the two of them stood beside the Jordan. Elijah took his cloak, rolled it up, and struck the water, and the water divided to left and right, and the two of them crossed over dry-shod. When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, "Make your request. What can I do for you before I am taken from you?" Elisha answered, "Let me inherit a double share of your spirit." "Your request is a difficult one," Elijah said. "If you see me while I am being taken from you, it shall be as you ask. If not, it will not be so." Now as they walked on, talking as they went, a chariot of fire appeared and horses of fire, coming between the two of them. And Elijah went up to heaven in the whirlwind. Elisha saw it and shouted, my father, chariot of Israel and its chargers." Then he lost sight of him, and taking hold of his clothes, he tore them in half. He picked up the cloak of Elijah which had fallen, and went back and stood on the bank of the Jordan. He took the cloak of Elijah and struck the water. "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" he cried. He struck the water, and it divided to right and left, and Elisha crossed over. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Let your heart take courage, all who hope in the Lord. How great is the goodness, Lord, that you keep for those who fear you, that you show to those who trust you in the sight of men. Let your heart take courage, all who hope in the Lord. You hide them in the shelter of your presence from the plotting of men. You keep them safe within your tent from disputing tongues. Let your heart take courage, all who hope in the Lord. Love the Lord, all you saints. He guards his faithful, but the Lord will repay to the full those who act with pride. Let your heart take courage, all who hope in the Lord. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Let the message of Christ in all its richness find a home with you. Through him give thanks to God the Father. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be careful not to parade your good deeds before men to attract their notice. By doing this, you will lose all reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give alms, do not have it trumpeted before you. This is what the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, to win men's admiration. I tell you solemnly, they have had their reward. But when you give alms, your left hand must not know what your right is doing. Your almsgiving must be secret, and your Father who sees all that is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not imitate the hypocrites. They love to say their prayers standing up in the synagogues and at the street corners for people to see them. I tell you solemnly, they have had their reward. But when you pray, go to your private room, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in that secret place. And your Father who sees all that is done in secret will reward you. When you fast, do not put on a gloomy look as the hypocrites do. They pull long faces to let men know they are fasting. I tell you solemnly, they have had their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that no one will know you are fasting except your Father, who sees all that is done in secret. And your Father, who sees all that is done in secret, will reward you. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment by Scott Hahn, and it's a commentary on the Gospel of Matthew. And just the most recent part I listened to talked about this first reading that we've just heard, the passing on of Elijah's spirit to Elisha. Elijah says to him, "What would you like me to give you?" Elisha says, "Give me a double portion of your spirit." Scott Hahn describes Elijah as the greatest prophet among the prophets. And yet Elisha was even greater. And he notices this pairing up throughout the scriptures, that the forerunner will not be as great as the one who comes after. So Elijah, so great, is outshone by Elisha. He goes earlier in the Old Testament, Moses does a great thing in taking the Israelites out of Egypt through the desert. With all their murmurings and all their unfaithfulness, Moses remains faithful, but doesn't go to the promised land. Instead, Joshua takes them to the promised land. So Joshua, the one who comes after, does something greater. He looks into the New Testament and he sees the same. John the Baptist leading to Jesus Christ. John the Baptist knew himself to be one who steps away to allow the Lord to shine. And we'll celebrate his feast day next week and hear those words. However, Jesus says, doesn't he, in St. John's Gospel, we heard this during Easter, you will do even greater works than these. He says, I have done great works, but you will do even greater works when I go to the Father and send you the Holy Spirit. So it's almost as if John the Baptist is the forerunner to Jesus Christ, who is God himself, who can't be bettered. And yet, he himself, Jesus Christ, says he will be bettered when the Holy Spirit works through his disciples. That you and I are now the mission of Jesus Christ around the world. That the mission of Jesus can transcend time, can transcend geography, can transcend even particular gifts and talents. It's not limited to certain areas. It's now every one of his disciples can work the miracles of Jesus. So we are living now in the age of the Holy Spirit, the greatest period of the whole of Scripture, because it is God himself allowing you and me to be brought into Jesus Christ, for Jesus to be born in us. Doesn't happen automatically, and the gospel is the key. You might remember, it's like going back to Ash Wednesday with this gospel. We always hear this gospel Ash Wednesday. Almsgiving, prayer, fasting, the three legs of the Lenten stool. But of course, it's not just a Lenten stool, it's all year round. That we were talking a few weeks ago, prayer and fasting being two sides of the same coin, but almsgiving is in there as well. And that this is like an examination of conscience, this gospel. How am I doing with my fasting? With giving things up? How am I doing with my almsgiving? With giving away? And how am I doing with my prayer? And not just am I saying my prayers, but am I going deep with the Lord? To the point where we can say, we are going to that secret place. But when you pray, go to your private room, says Jesus. And when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in that secret place, waiting for you. A lot of us, I live on my own, so I won't have experienced this, but a lot of us during lockdown might be finding it much harder to find physical space and time to pray. Because there's other people around, there's needs now that there aren't in so-called normal time. But Jesus doesn't just mean when the living room's free, go use it for your prayer. He means, am I letting the Lord go deep with me? Or is my prayer fairly surface level? Am I allowing the Lord to burrow deeper into my heart? And the truth is, I think that the private room of our heart is often a place we don't particularly want to go to. That place may be for you a place of memories, a place of emotions, a place of hurt, a place of sinfulness that we don't associate with a place we particularly want to talk to God about. We don't really want to go there all the time. We don't want to unlock that cage. It feels like a cage. And yet the truth is, we will only be those disciples doing more miracles than the Lord himself did while on earth if it's precisely that area, that private area, that murky area often. Unless that is being converted, unless I allow the Lord, come with your light in there, to that place I don't particularly want to go to. Come there. I'll meet you there, Lord. That's where Jesus wants us to be praying. And just to be sitting with him. So in that sense, I can ask myself, how's my prayer going? Am I allowing the Lord to go deep in me? Maybe in this Holy Mass we can ask for the grace of the Lord. Lord, take me deeper in my prayer. Show me what depths you wish to lead me to, so that my interior life is what gives power to the rest of my day. My interior life is the overflow that goes into my exterior life. Come, Lord Jesus.